Good afternoon, folks. Cowboy Roy Rogers here. Not down there. Got a little gardening project I'm doing because last year I got so much grass and weeds I didn't have time to keep up with stuff. I took an idea from Greg on Green Greg's. He used the plastic liquid totes to raise worms in. Well, I'm doing a little different. I cut them in half with a grinder, made sure to use a separate grinder and kind of smooth that off so we don't cut myself or something. And on the drains, I put some hardware cloth, wire, then a piece of old screen and another hardware cloth, and screwed it on there to prevent moles and gophers from getting in there and such like that, as well as if I finally get some worms, that hopefully they won't go out that hole. But it's got to be able to drain water because of course it's not going to be covered. I got some old rotten non-treated lumber in there that was laying in a pile of used lumber, and then just sticks and debris from a big fallen tree branch that need cleaned up anyway. The containers were given to me. That nasty mess on the sides is from used cooking oil from a place that had gathered that stuff. One of them had some in the bottom, so we shoveled it in this other one to make it light enough to move the second one. You come across an old antique wheelbarrow like mine there, they work better than them new jalopy things that fall apart. In my opinion, you can carry something without tipping over so good. Anyways, here's the second one. The bottom piece, similar situation there. You can see that old sludge stuff, but it's vegetable oil. It's also biodegradable. I put lots of old rotten lumber down in the bottom to just soak that stuff up and let it mix in and become dirt. I removed the drains off the ends of them, you can see, and there's that wire and screen. And then I may take a tiny little 1/8 inch drill and drill some holes on the sides near the bottom if it don't drain good enough. Right here was last year's garden bed that didn't turn out so good. I couldn't keep up with the grass and weeds. That's why I'm going all this trouble instead of just disking this up with a tractor again. Here we have the top part of the tote. So what you saw I did on the other, I cut the metal piece off right under here because this was upwards like that one. And then after removing it, then I went higher up to cut the plastic so that there's at least 1/2 inch to keep from getting cutting on that pipe. Here's what is the filler hole. It's a nice big hole there, about a 6 inch. So I put the screen and wire on it so that it will keep gophers and such. I'm gonna put these set up like this here. Put some more cinder blocks or something with stacks of 2x4s underneath, so there's something to support this plastic so it doesn't just settle down, and to keep it high enough that I can keep watching, make sure fire ants don't build a nest to try to get inside there or anything else like that. Now to cut that stuff, I wasn't close enough to electricity, so what I did here, I took, you can see my 12 gauge cord I mentioned in this morning's video. Instead of that little dinky stuff, as a 50-foot cord I run these old cheapo grinders from Harbor Freight. Instead of spending money for one good one, I got tired of swapping discs, so I bought 2 cheap ones with the sale and coupon for less than the price of one. If you use them every day, don't bother. It's almost guaranteed they won't hold up long enough. Here's the screen and some other material that was used, and a piece just came off of there, and of course used a cordless drill. At least I had that, and I can charge it off the inverter. But what we're doing is showing you the inverter setup on here. This is a 6,000 watt peak inverter. It's got 4 outlets. You can power this one for 6 hours. Has charged the freezers and refrigerator that I mentioned, but it killed those 2 truck batteries like the one sitting in the truck here. It's got to have 2 gauge cable minimum with a maximum length of 3 feet. And the cables were expensive, plus I didn't want it permanent mounted. I got to be able to use it in different vehicles. So I bought jumper cables from Tractor Supplies Company, and I bought the eyelets to be able to connect right onto the ends there. And I bought enough to be able to use on the opposite ends to make up a few separate cables like that, and put an old pair back into the thing. As you see, this is what those 2 other batteries mentioned in the previous video come out for.